creating this 3D optical illusion guitar out of wood. This is one of the most challenging projects I've ever done. My buddy helped me out with this project, which was a ton of help because this pattern was not easy to figure out. First thing we did was strip out a bunch of maple and walnut into varying thicknesses. Then we laid those strips out on a table and applied some wood glue to them and stacked them on some pipe clamps in order of thickest to thinnest. This is going to be one of the elements that's going to help us achieve that 3D effect we're going for. We cut enough strips to make 4 of these laminated blocks, which should be enough for us to build a guitar out of. Then we took those 4 blocks, cut each one in half, so now we have 8 smaller blocks to work with. Next up, we made a 15-degree cut on each of the 8 blocks. This gives us a wedge, which is our first piece to the puzzle. Then we can take that wedge, put it against the fence, and butt the leftover block up against the wedge and make what is now a 30-degree cut to the blade. So now we've got 2 sets of wedges cut out, and once again we're going to repeat that process, which now gives us a 45-degree cut in our final wedge size. Now the pattern can get assembled by taking the 2 middle pieces for each set and swapping them out with each other, which gives the alternating pattern of maple and walnut, and then just going around and doing that for each corner of the pattern. Then we got these things glued up and clamped in a box, only doing 1 corner of the pattern at a time. Then we can take those 4 corners and do 1 final lamination to bring the whole thing together. So it's looking good, but there's still that open hole in the center. For that, we basically just repeated the same exact cuts I showed, but on a smaller scale, and sanded those wedges down so that they could form a nice central point for the middle of the pattern. Glued them up in a box, and once it dried, took it over to the table saw and cut it down to the correct size so that it would fit in the middle of the larger pattern. Chiseled out the opening in the center a bit so that the insert would fit, and got it hammered flush with the pattern. Now that we finished the 3D pattern, it's time for me to build a guitar out of it. I wanted to choose a larger body design that would capture more of the 3D pattern, so I went for a sort of Iceman inspired design for the body shape, cut it out on the bandsaw, and then routed it to shape using a template I built, getting all the pockets routed. Also added a roundover around the body. I added a belly carve on the back, which I was a little bit worried about distorting the pattern, and it did elongate the pattern a bit, but not enough to ruin the 3D effect. Pretty interesting concept with this one. I really like how it turned out. As always, there's a demo at the end of the video. Thanks for watching.